preconceived notions. We all have them. We all form opinions about certain people or places based not on evidence or experience, but on reputation or image. Palm Beach, for example, is certainly a place that comes with a freight train's worth of reputational baggage. Some of it's positive. Beautiful beaches, gorgeous architecture, a rich history. But some of it is not. If you played a word association game with friends who've never ventured to Palm Beach, I guarantee you'd hear words like snobby, materialistic, Botox. A lot of people have some serious preconceived notions about this island, not all of which is wrong, but none of which tells the full story. And you know who else had some pretty deeply held preconceived notions? Nathanael in this morning's gospel passage. And they nearly prevent him from meeting Jesus and having his life transformed, utterly transformed by the relationship. The backdrop is one of the earliest Paul stories in John's Gospel. Jesus had recently shown up in Galilee, finds a man named Philip. Jesus didn't find a man named Jesus. Philip. He gazes into his eyes and then says those two powerful words that set everything in motion. Follow me. Well, Philip does indeed follow Jesus, becoming one of the 12 apostles. And the first thing he does is share with his friend Nathanael the incredible news that the long-anticipated Messiah has arrived. He races to find him and excitedly tells him, "We have found him about whom Moses and the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." And Nathanael is less than impressed. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? He sarcastically asks. I kind of love that, actually. But his preconceived notions get the best of him, partly because he considered Nazareth to be a bit of a backwater, and partly because he, along with the vast majority of his peers, assumed the Messiah would come from the grand city of Jerusalem. This would be the equivalent of hearing that the Messiah didn't actually come from Manhattan, but from Bayonne, New Jersey. I've never been to Bayonne, please. The point is, there's a bit of a gap between Nathanael's preconceived notions and God's reality. He clung to his own expectations about what a Messiah would look like and where a Messiah would come from, and couldn't believe it could be any other way. And anything good come out of Nazareth. God is full of surprises. Remember, this is a Messiah who was born not in a palace, but in a lowly stable. One who was first acknowledged not by princes or the high-born, but by poor shepherds watching their flocks by night. Jesus always surprises us. Jesus always turns our preconceived notions upside down. One of the things I most love about Bethesda-by-the-Sea is how welcoming a community this is. And I love it because when someone is warmly welcomed here, it shatters all the preconceived notions about how visitors think they may be treated when they enter our doors. Think about it. If you take all the preconceived notions, it stands in stark relief to all the preconceived notions. and it makes a big difference. Of course, one of the other preconceived notions about a church in Palm Beach is that we talk about money all the time. We don't. Except for today. Because, and I know I've kind of slowly eased into this thing, but today is Stewardship Sunday. Which means I get to talk about money. And not just any money, but very specifically your money. And how the church needs something. Not all of it, mind you, but some of it. Isn't this exciting? I love talking about money. And to demonstrate my love, I have ordered our uniformed ushers to bolt the doors shut. There is no escape. Now, I've always promised to be transparent with you about the financial needs of our church, but first, I want to highlight a few misconceptions, or preconceived notions, if you will, that I know are floating around out there. The first is that Bethesda is a rich church that doesn't really need your money. Yes, we are a well-resourced parish. We have a lot of parishioners. We do a lot of good in the world. We offer unparalleled music and worship. We have a moderate-sized endowment from which we draw a very prudent 4% annually, and we have some folks who are incredibly generous. However, it's important to note that nearly 70% of our annual operating budget comes through annual pledges and donations. 70%. That means that your generosity matters immensely. That we literally couldn't do the incredible ministry and offer the stunning worship that takes place here without you. You can't just farm out the generosity to a few rich people who, in the end, will take care of everything. First of all, that's not how church works. We're all in this together. And second of all, generosity is a spiritual discipline that we're all seeking to cultivate in one another. The church has a need for money, yes, but we all have a spiritual need to give. I do, you do, we all do. So when you pledge to Bethesda, and I would like to see everyone make a financial commitment for 2024, no matter the amount, especially if you've never done so before, or if you haven't done so for a few years. But when you make your pledge, I do ask you to think about what this place means to you, what your faith means to you in the context of your life. How does your giving to Bethesda compare to what you spend on vacations? How does it compare to what you spend on your property taxes? How does it compare to your other charitable giving? There are so many good causes out there. This town offers untold opportunities to give to institutions and good works, and occasionally attend fancy charity balls. But I will always argue that your spiritual home should take the biggest part of your heart. And so I ask you to prayerfully reflect on that. So what's our need? The bottom line is that we need to add 15% to our annual budget in order to support the exciting vision we've cast for 2024 and beyond. That's a big ask. That means adding $500,000 in pledges. Practically speaking, our costs continue to rise. Insurance costs alone have increased by 18%. 18%. There are more people at church. We're implementing a staffing plan to support our vision. We're catching up with an awful lot of deferred maintenance. Even as we are simultaneously reducing excess spending and finding ways to save the parish money, we stand at a crossroads. We need to reach that 15% threshold. But beyond the practical, an investment in ministry will lead to future growth in the areas of spirituality, children and youth, evangelism, and engagement, which is what our community is all about, and which is why I am so excited about the year ahead. 15% is a lot, but I know we can do this because I know just how much this place means to you. I see it in the energy and enthusiasm pulsing through Bethesda these days. I see it in the many ministries that are thriving. I see it in the ways that we are collectively following Jesus, both within our walls and beyond them. I often refer to money as rocket fuel for ministry. And we could use just a bit more juice to help us reach our fullest potential, to help us continue the work that God has called us to do. So thank you for laying aside your preconceived notions when it comes to financial generosity at Bethesda. When we do so, we heed Philip's follow-up response to his friend Nathanael. Come and see. Let's stop placing our own expectations about who Jesus is over and against the reality of Emmanuel, of God with us. And let's move boldly into the future, serving our Messiah in ways that are more than we can ask for or even imagine.